Hey everyone, back in the studio here at Lantern Media Studio for the next episode of Lean In Leander. We've done a few of these, and this one I've been looking forward to for a little bit because we've talked about it, Heather and I, a couple of times, mostly when we run into each other at Red Horn, right?
True.
So, but anyway, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. There's some dates coming up here, and I want to make sure that you all are aware of it. So this episode will be about the Central Texas Tales of Hope. And I want to introduce you to my guest today, Heather Gandy, who is currently the president of the board of directors, what is now known as the Central Texas SPCA here in Leander. So Heather, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an important moment and really transformational time for Central Texas SPCA. So it's a perfect time to be broadcasting this out to our community.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to be able to get the timing right because that's always part of the thing, it's just like you plan and schedules and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I before we get into this, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Like you have a normal world and then you do this stuff.
Yeah. In my day life, I'm actually an executive at an ed tech company in our customer experience area, but I call it my second job, although it isn't a job if you love it so much, right, is this space of animal welfare. I've actually been, I think it's been about 11 years now that I've been volunteering with Central Texas SPCA and was honored enough to have them ask me to join the board about 9 years ago, and I am currently serving my second term as the president.
Wow. It's always interesting for me to find folks that are equally committed to whatever passion is theirs, right? And I just, knowing what you do in real life, like you have a normal job, and then you do all of this, and this takes a tremendous amount of time. So, I just wanted to give you appropriate kudos on that because, again, not only being on the board, but then being president on the board and managing these processes, I was really, again, we had met circumstantially, but then when I kind of figured out what we were doing, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And then you invited me to the groundbreaking last year. And I was like, okay, we've got to do something about this because we have to bring some attention to this. We want people in the community to know what's going on, and we want them to know how to get involved. So that's what we're going to be talking about a lot today. So let's chat a little bit about your passion here. So what is it that draws you to animal welfare and the health and wellness of our furry friends?
Yeah. So, obviously, I am an animal lover myself. I am a mom to 4 cats. Go cats. And dogs. I love that.
Team dog.
My cats feel differently. And I get to say that I have the best of both worlds because I go to the shelter all the time. The board of directors for Central Texas SPCA is what we call a working board. We're literally out there doing grounds and maintenance.
I can attest to that.
Right. We concept and create every single fundraising event that we do. Like, it is truly like working. But back to really your question about and why, my other passion then is animals. I think that, obviously a personal opinion, I find that animals enrich our lives with unconditional love. I also do have a 2-legged child in addition to my 4-legged child. So it's a balancing act, but I just feel like dogs and cats can enrich the human experience. And, let us see how we can be loved. And in return, they need to be shown that avenue to get into those homes that are going to show them that love. Obviously, we have an overpopulation problem with cats and dogs, and so shelters exist. That's why they exist.
Yep. So you have this firsthand experience, and a lot of times, you try to relate it to something that people can relate to. So I would think about it as like we watch shows on medical, like right now The Pit is a big thing.
Yes, it is.
Right? It's a great show. But we don't have that firsthand experience. Like I've never been in an emergency room other than maybe as a patient, right? And, to see that interaction between people and how they work together, I'm not equating what you do quite to an ER, but what's it like to see an animal kind of go through that process and get that second chance? Like, how you see that all the time? What does that look like? How does that feel?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And honestly, I think it does go back to how do you find the time? You want to make the time for this because it is those moments when you see, right? And you've got the story of the super social adoptable dog that's already got the perfect discipline, and they come in and out of the shelter really quick, and those are still like, yay, good, you deserve this home and all this love. But I think one of the things that's a differentiator too for Central Texas SPCA is that is not the temperament and the behavior of all the dogs that come in. We are often pulling animals that may have gone through some sort of physical or mental trauma or they may have just been outside their whole life trying to fend for themselves. Um, we have a lot of dogs that may not have had a lot of human contact before. And so you see these sweet little souls come in, and at first they're very guarded and right. I mean, we're big, we're scary, we can be loud. And again, you don't know if someone has come into their world before and maybe been unkind. So to see what the unbelievable staff at our shelter pour into these animals and the care and the love and the patience. Like I think patience is a huge word in any sort of animal rescue. To earn that trust and to have a dog that came in cowering in a corner and maybe a little growly or a little barky because and not because it's mean, it's because it's scared. And to be able to watch the evolution in that dog's confidence because you've shown it this consistent love and that humans are good and you can have another life. And then you see this perfect family walk in that understands the background of the animal and is going to continue on that journey of showing it love. And then you get to see them go out the door. We're super big on alum updates. We ask people all the time, like, please send us photos. And we send them around. It isn't just like so we can put them in some archive. Anytime we get an alumni photo, they go out on our daily shift reports from our dog and cat caretakers because we want everybody to see, like, look, this is the tangible difference that you made in this sweet little baby's life to give it that confidence to now be living its best life ever.
No, that's great. And again, seeing that on a regular basis has to be uplifting,
Yes,
right? At
very much.
minimum.
Yeah, it is.
What I would like to turn to now so that people understand, and is one of the things that took me a little bit of time to kind of figure out is, the whole naming convention and how the private nonprofits are a little bit different. So
Yeah.
I know that right now it is Central Texas SPCA,
Mm-hmm.
and that you guys are changing the name to Tales of Hope.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Help me understand what some of the common misconceptions about ASPCA are,
Mm-hmm.
and why it matters to make this change.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So Central Texas SPCA has been our name for pretty much the 38 years that we have been serving the Williamson County community. We are a completely private, of course, no kill, and then, of course, we're also a nonprofit. What we have found over the evolution, I mean, right, that's almost 4 decades, is
Mm-hmm.
that the acronym SPCA has kind of evolved in the world in ways that are both positive and negative. There's the SPCA, which is really just a global organization of like animal rescue. There is also one independent organization called the ASPCA, that American, the biggest umbrella. And I, no shade on my part, but the ASPCA does run really, really different. They're a nonprofit, but they are really structured a lot more like a corporation. They have a CEO. They've got it's a whole different structure. Now, they're also being able to do great work. So again, no shade on the ASPCA. But there's definitely been some controversy about of every dollar donated, how much of it is actually making its way for the good of the animals. So over time, over this almost 4 decades that Central Texas SPCA has existed, and this evolution of people's association with the acronym SPCA and ASPCA, we've realized that there is a super common misconception that we are actually somehow associated with this global SPCA organization or even the ASPCA. And we are absolutely not. We were founded incredibly grassroots. It's kind of started out of people's homes, and then, oh, look, we got a little building and we can continue to grow. Um, but we are a completely private organization. What that means, even as opposed to like the Williamson County Shelter or the Travis County Shelter, is that we have absolutely no funds coming to us from the city or from the state or from the county. Every bit of fundraising that we do, or every dollar that we have to coming to us in order to take care of the animals, we are actually doing the fundraising for. So I think that's a big thing about private versus like a state or a county shelter even, is they're getting some state funds or county funds, and we are completely private, 100% responsible for every bit of fundraising that goes on. We decided that along with the new building that we're building, it was time to change our name to something that really resonated with what our mission is. And so we are renaming Central Texas Tales of Hope. And I know you can see it, but listeners can't, that Tails is Tails,
Right. It
like
threw
a
me off
dog
at the
tail
top.
and a cat tail.
Right.
Exactly. We're animal tales of hope, because that's what we're really doing,
Yeah.
is giving all of these little tales that belong, that
I
are
mean,
all these animals, hope.
there's a lot of double entendre there, right?
There
So
is.
you get there's a lot to play with. And I remember seeing the logo, and the logo makes it a little bit more obvious the spelling, right? And
Yeah,
the way you're
exactly.
using the word.
Exactly.
Most of my adult life, I lived in Houston, and
Mm.
and there's the SPCA in Houston, and we've adopted animals from those shelters before. I want to say, I may be wrong about this, but I want to say some of those that we at least interacted with were somewhat funded by the city or
Mhm.
maybe by the county in
Yeah.
Houston. So it was a little different, right? It
Right.
was very
Right.
different. So when I came here to Leander, and between your shelter, because we did look
Mhm.
before we were granted Rousey. We were looking. We were actually looking for a boxer. Like
Mm.
I was like, I would like to try a boxer, right? And they're really difficult to find. And then the ones that are like full bred box, it's impossible to get into those clubs or whatever. It's
Mm.
like they just, well, let me give me your entire history of your family and where you originated from. And I'm like, why do you need all this? I just want a dog, right?
Mhm.
So it can get a little hairy, but no double entendre there either.
Okay, that was funny. And I'll
No
start
pun
keeping my
intended.
eye out for like a little rescue boxer for you.
Okay, don't need another dog. I have plenty
Sure
to
you
handle
do.
right now. People tell me all the time. I'm like, nope. So those two shelters are very different from what I'd experienced in the past,
Mhm.
right? And again, even just visiting and like this is really different from what I knew from Houston. So
Right.
it always kind of caught my interest, even as a new citizen here in the city. But it's interesting the way that that's positioned because with Leander being kind of like this gateway into Wilco,
Mhm.
that to me, I find that like okay, and even from where you guys stand physically in the city,
Mhm.
it's kind of like okay, there's these two gateways into Wilco where you find what I would say is probably the more appropriate approach
Mm.
to shelter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean,
And
there's
in
nothing
fairness,
wrong with
like
the
the
other.
county, the county's numbers, the county can't turn
Right.
away
Well,
if
that's what
there's
I
a
mean.
stray, if there's a surrender, if there's whatever. The county can't turn them away. Whereas like Texas Humane and Central Texas SPCA, we can't take that. Right? They have to. If you find a dog on the side of the road, amazing. You're gonna put it in your car and take it to a shelter so that it can be safe. Shelters like ours cannot take that dog from
Right.
you as a surrender. It has to go to the county. So the county is like they're in a little
It's
harder
it's a
position.
harder
It's a
position.
different. It
It is.
is, and so just the volume that they have that they cannot say no to, and yeah, they're getting funds from the county or the state, but it's not unlimited funds.
Right.
So the quality of care there, I think they do an absolutely amazing job.
No, absolutely.
And yet, what we focus on as that key differentiator for our shelter is that more one-on-one special attention and time, having the time and that care, like we were talking about earlier, to turning around the behaviors of animals, growing that trust. in a county facility, you're not
You
going to
don't.
likely have
No,
that
you don't.
time just because of volume.
You were the first no-kill shelter
We
in
were.
Wilco.
We were, yeah, 38 years ago, we were the very first. That was like, this is before that was a thing. And now it's kind of an expectation
Yep.
for people.
Yep.
But no, we were the very first no-kill shelter in Williamson County. And that is something that we are incredibly proud to still be very steadfast
And when we
in.
were chatting, one of the things that kind of came up in our pre-conversation was, you guys actually go to some of these other shelters to find adoptable animals and give them a chance. So let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to that whole limited intake thing, right? We're a limited intake shelter. You can't find a dog on the side of the road and bring it to us. We want it to go to Williamson County, to the county shelter, because it might have been someone's dog that just got out, and we want a simple path for if you lost a dog, you know who to call. You're not having to call 50 places. So yeah, we're super proud to be, and Austin and the Austin Metroplex is now no kill, and basically what no kill means is that you will not start euthanizing dogs or cats based solely on space. Right now, health issues, that's a like a humane euthanasia is totally different. Um, I think people may have a misconception still that Texas is no kill, and that actually couldn't be further from the truth. While Austin and the Austin Metroplex is no kill, as soon as you get outside our county boundaries of like Travis and Williamson County, you have lots of the more rural counties, right, contiguous to us, that unfortunately, just again, it's kind of the reality of it. The population of animals that are coming into their shelter is much larger than the demand in their specific areas for adoptions. So those counties are still doing euthanasias based on space. So I mean, it's hard to even say the words. The reality is that there are totally healthy, completely adoptable animals out in these more rural counties that when 5 new animals come in, they just have to select 5 healthy, adoptable animals and euthanize them for space. So the ethos and the mission of Central Texas SPCA is actually to partner most closely with those county shelters that are on the outskirts of the area. We actually drive as far down as like Galveston County. Thankfully, they meet us halfway a lot of the time. But we go to those counties that are not no kill, that do sadly have to euthanize for space. We pull as many of the animals out of those shelters as we can so that we are literally saving lives that would otherwise have been lost.
So one of the things I kind of want to talk about is the living experience. I mean, we're talking about what happens in the home and my dog and all that other stuff because we're silly. But the living experience for the animals when they're in your shelter, because I found this to be, and this is part of the reason that you guys are doing the expansion. Is to make this even better for our furry friends. But let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what's the living experience? Let's start with your favorite subject. The cats.
That's awesome. Okay, so actually, there's a couple of points I want to put on this. Hopefully, most people in this area. No, I was actually going to pull it all the way back to like where we're located in the building, so that we can kind of do a from-to conversation here. So hopefully, most people in Leander that are hearing this are aware of where we're at. But to be perfectly honest, as someone who's lived in the Austin area for I can't even do the math, a really, really long time since college. I have driven by the shelter before I was affiliated with it and not actually realized it was there. Right. So we're located on Baghdad, and it would be easy to miss us as you drive by on the road because what we are in right now are essentially some donated mobile homes that we have just kind of fused together. So we have like a mobile home that's for the cats, and we have a tiny little mobile home that's our office, and then we have another mobile home that is for the dogs. And I think one of the things that's super impressive is actually what we've been able to do with the fact that we are in these, they are at this point now over 30 years old. And in case you're wondering what the lifespan of the type of mobile home or trailer we're in is, it's between 20 and 23 years, which
So you got a little get extra value out of
it's,
those, right?
I mean, to be honest, and if you come out to the shelter, which you've been there before, and we welcome people, please come to the shelter, and what a great time to come to the shelter to see the full from to. We say joking, not joking, that the shelter at this point is held together by duct tape, paper clips, and a whole lot of love. And I mean it literally. Like the ceiling and a lot of the floor is held together at this point by duct tape. We have some air vents that have paper clips on them. So we're in a facility that has way outlived its lifespan. But even still, in eroding conditions, we have made sure that the experiences for the cats and dogs in our care are what we feel to be the most conducive to them ending up in a good home and feeling safe and comfortable. So you asked about on the cat side. So in our cat trailer, on the cat side, every single cat has what we call a cat condo.
See, I just wanted to make you say that.
Cat condo, exactly. It's their cat suite. So as opposed to a lot of, and again, as we've talked about this earlier today, some of this is out of necessity, but some shelters you go into and they're kind of sad because there's lots of cages or like little tiny boxes that the animals are in, and they basically stay in that all day every day until someone wants to come see them. That's hard. People used to ask me forever, how can you be associated with a shelter? Doesn't it break your heart every time you go? And I'm like, no, not this one. This one actually makes me happy every time I go. So every cat has a cat condo, or some, right? Friendly cats. There may be a couple in a condo. That condo is going to have a gigantic cat tree. It's going to have a chair. It's going to have a litter box. And lots of toys for them to play in. So there's the only time that they're ever in any sort of carrier or crate or something small is when we have to take them to the vet, and that's for safety reasons. But what we find and why that's so important to us is that when cats are anytime, if I put you in a box, if I made you stay in this room all day, every single day, you would probably feel a little stressed, and you probably wouldn't be your best you. You wouldn't be your real you.
Nope.
So when people come in and meet you, they're like, whoa, that Andrew guy is nuts. Like, I don't know about him. He seems a little, right? So that's kind of the same.
I still get that, by the way, but
that's totally fair, but we can't blame it on you living in a room.
Can't blame it on a box.
Exactly. But we do find if you put the cats in situations where they're comfortable, they've got their safe spots, they have places to hide, they've got places to climb, they can do all those things. When the public comes in to meet these cats, they're much more likely to see their natural personality, right? Their real personality, not their I've been stuck in a box for 24 hours a day personality. So we think that it really helps with the public finding that cat or cats that are the perfect match for their life and family. And that is something that in the new building, because again, trailers about to like every day we're like, hey, made it another day. So in the new facility, it will also all be cat condos. The one bonus that we're getting with the new building that is in construction right now is that every single cat will have a piece of a window so that they can see outside. And in fact, we're even thinking about strategically placing some bird feeders at points outside, right? So the birds are 1,000,000% safe, but the kitties get to watch them. So that'll be fun.
That is kind of cool. That's a neat idea. And then the dogs have plenty of space to run, and they have a little bit more of an open area.
Yeah, so let's do another from to of where we're at today, and then how we're taking what we think we're doing well and trying to make it even better. So right now, if you have noticed us on as you're driving down Baghdad, you will see that we have gigantic outdoor areas. Those outdoor areas that are fenced in and pinned in, although there's a lot less now because we're in construction. But the dogs, obviously weather dependent. If it's too cold, too hot, raining, snowing, right, any of that, of course, the dogs are inside. But our real goal is, as long as the weather is okay, those dogs are outside in really big runs. All the runs have got an igloo that they can go into if they just want away from people or, for whatever reason. They're all going to be stuffed with lots of toys and, again, chairs so that you can go into their space, right, and and like join them and play with balls and stuff. Now, our current situation, because obviously we don't leave the dogs outside in bad weather or overnight, that would not be safe for them. Um, so we do bring all the dogs in at night, and we currently do have to have a crating system. It is, again, just for bad weather and overnight. But we do have really large crates that they can stay in. And so that means that our staff throughout the day, our staff gets there, they're in crates, they're like, oh, let's get you outside, let's get you fed, let's let you go to the bathroom. But it's this thing of like dog in, dog out
Mm-hmm.
all day. We try to keep them outside as much as possible. But it's rough on the dogs, and it's really rough on our staff too that are having to
Yeah, it's
put
a
them
lot of
back and
time.
forth. But back to what we really value, it's the dog actually having independent space to like run and be a dog and play and see other dogs. So in this new facility, we partnered with an amazing organization that literally their job is to help design the best shelters. So like they worked with us about these are the things don't do. You may think this is a good idea. It's a bad idea. And what are ways we went in and we told them what was important to us. We want dogs to have individual runs. We don't right no we want a crate free on the cat and the dog side. We want this to be a crate free facility. And so that is what they were able to design for us economically. Every single dog in the new facility will have an indoor run that is like completely indoors, and then a little drop door that they can go out onto a covered patio and then just keep going out onto a grassy area. So they will have their own independent runs. We'll be able to open doors between the dog runs so that two dogs can go play together or whatever. But again, it's kind of back to that. If you want to see their real personality and have them feel safe and not stressed, give them that ability to run and play like dogs.
Yeah, no, I think I love the approach, obviously, and I think it just gets kind of funny because it's like a little mini community, if you will, within
Yeah.
the shelter, right? And
Right.
I don't know if they keep track of each other and stay connected on dog
On dog,
Facebook or
exactly.
something,
Yeah.
cat
Doggram.
square, whatever, catagram. That's funny. That would be hilarious
Yeah.
if they did. Let's talk about the new facility,
Okay.
okay? So we've talked a little bit about how the current aging process
Yeah.
that you guys have dealt with, but you've been working on this for about 15 years,
At least,
right?
yeah.
And you've been doing a capital campaign fundraising for this for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Now I know, and we talked about it. We broke ground on the new facility about a
Mhm.
year ago. Um, I drive by there all the time.
Yeah.
I know the foundation is done.
Yep.
The walls are kind of coming up,
About to, yep.
right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and we've talked about what the new facility means for the dogs. We talked
Mhm.
about the indoor-outdoor runs, the covered porch, and all of this transformational shift in your shelter experience. But to your point earlier, you are solely responsible for the fundraising for all
That's
of
right.
this. So and I do want to ask one question there, but with that assumption of the responsibility for the fundraising, I think it's important and one of the reasons I wanted to do this was there's still a gap.
There is a
Like
gap.
you guys have still to close the gap. The
Yeah.
process is undergoing.
Mhm.
You're underway. Things are happening, but you still got to pay for it,
Yeah.
right? So I'd like you to talk a little bit about, how the funding is not yet complete,
Mhm.
and why you chose to go forward despite that
Yeah.
fact. Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's about like $600,000
It's
that you
about
guys are
that. Yeah, it's
you're
about
shy, right?
$600,000 right now that we're shy. And it's a reality of it has been. It's been over 15 years. It was prior to my even volunteer service that there has been a dedicated group of people like Michelle Zoller, who's like a superhero, who have been trying. Like we knew what the lifespan of these trailers, these donated trailers. They weren't new when they were donated to us. We knew what the lifespan was. We knew we needed to be on this, but it's really hard because since we are solely responsible for getting, earning, getting donated, every single dollar to exist, as you're trying to save up money to build a new building, which is obviously very expensive, you're obviously still also incurring just your operational cost of
Yep.
staying open. So it's a really hard thing for a small shelter like ours is. We got super blessed about 5 years ago, and someone made a significant contribution that really kickstarted and accelerated our ability to formally launch the capital campaign and say, okay, plus we're looking at the building and we are seeing there's more duct tape, there's more paper clips, and it's taking even more love to keep the doors opening and closing and the ceiling not falling down. So we did make a decision as a board. Gosh, it's probably been 2.5 or 3 years ago that even though we knew that we were still at a shortfall financially, if we didn't start the process of building the new building, our building was quite literally going to become inhabitable
Mm-hmm.
before we could open the doors on a new building. And, that risks everything, our entire mission, everything we love, the animals, the staff that work there, everything. So, I will personally, I won't put this on the board. I will say what I said in the board meeting where we were discussing, do we take a risk and go ahead and start building even though we don't have, because at first that was our mentality was, we'll start building the moment we have exactly every penny that we need so that we knew we weren't getting into a loan situation, right? Um, and then it all kind of changed. And part of my thinking was, once we start building and the community sees us and can see what we're doing, I actually personally hope and believe that that's going to cause so much excitement in the community when they see what we're doing and they recognize who we are and what we believe in, that it's going to accelerate that fundraising to get us over the edge. But that's the moment we're at right now. Right now, it's April,
Right.
and we do still have this shortfall in the funding that we need to finish out the building. And the building's going to be open in Q4, so like we're kind of in crunch
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you are. That's
Yeah,
very much
a little
crunch
bit.
time, and it's one of the reasons that I want to do this too, is draw a little bit more attention to the matter and
Yeah,
what you guys are doing to kind of uh, fill the gap.
yeah.
I do have one question though, because I'm not real familiar with this kind of process from your, again, you're a private organization, you're
hmm
building out this building, you're doing a lot of fundraising. Do you all have any, is there opportunity, or do you look at like grant funding and things of that nature? Are those things that you can do?
Yeah, we apply for any of the grants that we see. We do actually have a very small grant committee. It's so sweet. I say these things like we have a grant committee. It's like two super individuals that are doing this part-time outside of their day job. So yeah, we do go after a lot of grants. I'm going to be honest though, oftentimes our small private shelter is going to be looked over
Right.
for grants because we're going up
Yep.
against those county
Yep.
shelters that, just as we talked about earlier, sheer volume. When the
Mm-hmm.
county shelters are like, we're doing 1 million animals a year, and of course I'm exaggerating, but when a grant writer or grant approver is looking at the two, they're likely going to look at those
No,
super high volume
and
counties.
that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring that up, is because again, in now my a bit about a year on council,
Mm-hmm.
that was something that I was always wondering as a civilian. I was like, well, wait, there's a bunch of grants and there's a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
other stuff of it, but then you get into that process and it's
Yeah.
highly competitive.
There's
Number
a lot of
one,
people
right?
going for
There's a
those
lot of people
grants.
going for
Yeah.
them, and then there's these extenuating circumstances of and you can't blame any of that. It's the
Yeah.
system. It's the way the system is set up. It's not meant to be punitive to any one
Right.
particular party or not. It's just
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's a calculated decision made. Where are we going to be able to make the largest impact
Yep.
with this grant money, right?
Yeah.
And we experience it as a city. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
there's been several grants that we have applied for that we're like, hey, if we can get this grant, this helps us solve this problem,
Yeah.
and we have to remind ourselves. And then this is what I do, is I remind us, hey, we're just applying for the grant. This
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that we're going to get the
Right.
grant.
Don't go spend the money
Yeah,
yet.
we're not spending money yet. And by the way, we may not get that grant. And we've
Right.
still got to work on solving for the
Alternate
issue, because
paths.
the issue does not go away,
Right.
right? That you still have to
Still
work
need the
towards
thing.
solution. These are just actions to help solve,
Yeah.
does not necessarily provide solution, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's important to bring that up, and just in the context of what you were talking about here with the fundraising and all that kind of stuff going on, because what I do want to talk about is how listeners can get involved. So if you're watching the podcast on the various video channels, or if you're just listening to us on your favorite podcast channel, shout out Apple Podcasts because that's where we mostly get our volume. But
Nice.
We want to understand and we want to encourage. First and foremost, this is a public endorsement of this process, right? I'm saying to you, not only as the host of Lean In Leander, but also as one of your council members, get involved. This is a great, great project, and it's a great way for you as a citizen to get involved and to, with whether it's your dollars, whether it's your time, whatever it might be. The civic engagement that we have here in Leander is by far one of the more salient points within this city. I mean, when I look at how people want to get involved and how they do get involved, and to different levels and to different degrees, but they actually take the time. And, that time capital is invaluable. And whether it's 15 or 30 or an hour, or again, maybe it's 5 seconds jumping online and making a donation, makes all the difference in the world. And it can be that one little thing that you do. So don't ever forget that. It's the little things that when you start to put them all together, make a big, big difference. So
I love that, by the way. I just have to say how much I love. I didn't know you were going to say that, and I absolutely love that you said that. There's so many ways to, like, I in preparation for this, right, I put my little bullet list of ways you can help. But when I think about even like the smallest things, and something that's not on my list is following us on socials, right? We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook, like even just searching for Central Texas SPCA and following us so that you can see what sort of events are going on. And then that little micro thing that you can do that you have no idea how much help it might be is if there's some cool event that you see coming up, sharing it on your page, right? It's getting it out wider into the community. That is like, it takes you 2 seconds and it costs you nothing. And it could make all the difference for us.
Yeah, 100%, like, share, comment, all those kinds of things are super, super important. And it's
Fast
not
and
just
free.
for the influencers, right? It's for regular people. Help your friends understand. If you have a cat or you have a dog or you have a mouse or a snake or whatever, right? You're someone who's engaged in, our world at a different level. You're engaging with nature and again, it provides solace, it provides comfort, it provides that unconditional love and feedback loop that you don't necessarily get from us wonderful Homo sapiens, because we're really complicated creatures, right? And animals are much simpler at heart. So let's talk about what the options are. So I know centraltexaspca.org. And I think there's a link there that says Make a Difference. Is that right?
There is, yeah. So really long website name at this point. It's all written out. Central Texas SPCA.org is our website. Up at the top banner, there is a Make a Difference link. It's about in the middle, I think. If you click on Make a Difference, the very first option is Ways to Make a Difference. What we've done there is consolidate basically all the different ways you can make a difference onto one clean and easy page. So you're going to see events that we have coming up. It'll have links to how to foster, how to adopt, all about us, how to donate, how to see our Amazon wish list, all those things. There was a cool one. You actually brought this up when we were talking earlier this week. There are, I don't know if the community knows this, but there are actually some apps that pay shelters just for you being on them and tracking your walks. I personally have an app on my phone called Wolf Tracks. It's spelled WOOFTRAX. I think it's available for both iPhone and Android. So Wolf Tracks, every time you go for a walk, you just turn on, I'm going for a walk. You can dedicate it to an animal, one of your animal's names, and you pick a shelter, and Wolf Tracks pays money to that shelter for every single walk that you take. So just little tiny ways. Again, if you're already going to go walking, just turn that app on, and someone else is going to give us some money for you going and being healthy yourself and walking.
I know you have your 38th anniversary dinner, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. So this is a 38th anniversary dinner because we have been in Williamson County now and in existence for 38 years. I consider this like our fun and fancy night. It is our biggest single fundraiser of the entire year of all of the small and big events. This is the biggest. It is occurring on Saturday, May 2nd. So it's only a couple of weeks from now. The event is actually going to take place in Austin at the Ben-Hur Shrine Center. It's like Shoal Creek in Anderson. We've been there for the last couple of years, and it has been a whole lot of fun. We've like really know the layout, and we have a good time. So what this night is all about, it's like there's lots of games. We're going to be really trying to amp up the fun this year. It's always fun, but we're going to try to make it be even more fun. With some games, we're going to have a really huge silent auction. So, and we usually get a wide variety of things from pampering sort of products, gift cards, like all that sort of stuff that we get donated to the shelter. And then you bid in that silent auction. So we raise money. This year specifically, some of the differences with our anniversary dinner is we've got a couple of cat and dog themed specialty cocktails. I can't wait to see how this flies.
Okay.
And for the first time ever, we are actually going to have a comedian. Jemischa Albo is coming out to do some family-friendly comedy. May or may not be somewhat centered on animals, but we'll see. So it's just a super nice night. It's just a couple-hour event. The doors open at 5. It ends at 8. So not a gigantic time commitment, but a lot of fun. And a good way to meet all the members of the board and see your local community, get to laugh with Jemischa, and maybe get some really great deals on some silent auction items.
No, that's awesome. So if I want to go,
Yep.
how do I buy a ticket, or how do I get to the ball?
Absolutely. So back to that Central Texas SPCA.org site. In the very top banner, we're trying to make this easy for everyone. There is a link that says 38th anniversary dinner.
Okay. All right. Easy enough.
You can also find that information if you go that path we were talking about before, make a difference and ways to make a difference. So lots of different ways to get there.
So the dinner's coming up Saturday, May 2nd.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a couple 3 weeks away already, right? 3 weeks, right? So as of the date of the podcast, which today is Friday, April 10th.
Yep.
So hopefully we have this up and produced and all that kind of stuff. So just keep that in mind when you're listening. But it is Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, in case you find this podcast next year.
That's funny.
It's not going to be the same date. But anyway, and then there's another wonderful little thing coming up in May, which I thought this was really cute.
Yeah.
Mother's Day photos. So talk about that.
Yeah, we sat down for a couple hours the other night and ended up completely concepting an event that I'm so excited about. So let me tell you all about it. We are calling this Mother's Day event. It's actually on the Saturday before Mother's Day. That's Saturday, May 9th, 2026. We are calling this Bubbles and Barks.
Right. There you go.
Right? So on Saturday, May 9th at the Doghouse Drinkery in Leander from 12 to 3, we are going to be hosting this event, and here's what it's all about. $20 donation to Central Texas SPCA. So $20. Most people have $20. Skip one meal out. $20 donation to the shelter, and here's what you're going to get. Bottomless mimosas. And again, that really means mimosa. Bottomless mimosas, as much champagne and orange juice, or if you want to skip the orange juice or whatever, as much as you want.
Within reason.
As long as you have a designated driver,
Yes.
clearly,
Yeah.
or
Please
an
plan
Uber.
ahead.
Absolutely. Or your dog can just drive you home. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
That would be interesting.
So bottomless mimosas, a keepsake paw print. So we're going to have a whole station set up with canvas and safe, obviously dog safe paint, where you can come and do like where you paint their paws and you put it onto a canvas so that you get this really cute paw print keepsake. And we're actually super blessed on the board to have a professional photographer as one of our board members. He is going to be out there that day taking high-res photos of you and your pup Brad and Jody and I the other day designed a whole background. We've got this adorable background, like backdrop setup, all the things, so that moms and their dog or dogs can get in this frame, have a professional photo taken of them and their dog, and we'll send that high-res photo like right away. So now I'm going to go back to the front and say all those things: bottomless mimosas and a paw print keepsake and a really cutely staged high-res photo of moms and their dog or dogs for only a $20 donation to the
Very
shelter.
QVC of you.
Right? That's funny.
No, that's great. That's great. And again, the dates are Saturday, May the 2nd for the 38th anniversary dinner, and then Saturday, May 9th at the Doghouse Drinkery from 12 to 3 p.m. on that day.
Yep.
And both very, very great ways to make a difference.
Yep.
With that, we'll wrap up episode 75, which is, again, just crazy. Woo. But yeah, thanks for the snaps.
And thank you for having me
Heather,
on here, Andrew.
it's such a pleasure. I'm so glad we were able to do this, and I'm glad we were able to kind of make it work to where it's actually going to help amplify.
Absolutely.
And I'll do everything in my side of the equation to ensure that you have all the information. So we'll put all these links and stuff like that on the posts. You'll be able to find that, and then visit leaninleander.net for the episode itself. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and then all of your favorite podcast channels and services. So if you're listening today, make a difference. If you're watching, make a difference. And we appreciate you taking the moment to find out a little bit more about what's going on here in Leander. So again, Heather, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
And that's it for this episode, guys. We'll see you at the next one. All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm sure you can tell that I did. But as always, we want to know what you think. So drop us a line at leaninleander.net/contact, or you can leave a message on either Facebook or Instagram. Once you're done with that, please go ahead, rate, review, and subscribe to the show. It helps us reach more people. This episode was recorded and engineered at Lantern Media Studios by Morgan Tuttle, produced and edited by yours truly, and our theme music was licensed from Ben Sounds. Episodes of Lean In Leander drop on a fairly regular basis, so listen and subscribe to stay in the loop. You can watch episodes of Lean In Leander at youtube.com/@LeanInLeander.